Both my mother and father inspired me to become an artist. We did not have any money when we were growing up, and my parents somehow always scraped the pennies together to get me into a little art school. And I'm really grateful for Retta Patton, and she was my art teacher, and now she has a whole school, but she was just in a little tiny warehouse, and that was how I learned, and it was thanks to them. I was trained as a Renaissance artist when I was 7. So as I grew, I did oil paintings and flowers and buildings and things like that. And when I met William in the gallery, I had evolved into a different style of painting, which is drip painting. He asked me one day, "Do you know who Jackson Pollock is?" And I said, "No, I don't know who he is." And he said, "Well, you should look at him because you have the same techniques that he does." And so the more I looked into it, the more I realized we had a lot in common. For instance, I paint on the floor, so my canvas lays down and then I dance around the piece painting, and there's photographs that I saw of him doing it too. And so I just feel inspired and happy to be in that mode right now. Well, when I was evolving in my 40s, it was the pastry palette knife was what I used. And it was because being a pastry chef was so inspiring, because making the frostings and doing the flowers out of, the almond marzipan flowers, staining them with the right coloring, and all of that just was so inspiring to me to bring that into the beginnings of this, when I first met William. And then the more he inspired me to be brave and just be like Pollock, because he could see it was birthing, the more I do the throw painting, dripping like so, but always going around upside down almost. Once William said, that's when you know a good abstract is if it looks good, like you can flip it. And I love that for clients, that they can have a new piece, just flip it around. After high school, there was an opportunity. I was given a scholarship to go to the Art Institute of Atlanta, but my family and friends said, no, you should go get a real career, get a real job. So I loved what I did. I was a documentary producer. I worked at CNN. And then I wanted to do a different direction in my career. So I became a French-trained pastry chef and ended up being the assistant pastry chef for the White House chefs. And after that, I wrote a book. It's called Defriending Facebook. And it was a memoir on how I deactivated my account and reactivated my life. I was going through a lot of good and like we were saying, what's good is bad, what's bad is good. But I was going through a lot of anxiety, like having a lot of episodes of just not feeling right in my skin any longer. And one doctor told me, you should take up painting. And so the painting became therapeutic, and I started noticing anything with the circular patterns or swipes, or like the beginnings up there, those are some of the earlier ones. That was evolving after I went off to Costa Rica and had just a really healing, sometimes you should travel to see the world, and your vision of art it inspires you and it changes your visions. Some of these remind me of staring out in the Costa Rican sky and looking at the stars, and just feeling like the energy from that and bringing it back into the form of, like, this to me is another energy of a galaxy of the stars. So that's how it evolved as I got older, and I guess we could say wiser. My husband and I are both entrepreneurs, and so we sold everything, okay? So I say that the world is our home. El mundo es mi casa, because my husband and I, COVID was when this explosion of my art really came to this style and this, but we didn't have anywhere to live, and we stayed with his parents, and they gave me their studio, the basement, as my studio. We call it Studio 44, and so I feel blessed to like be able to have that studio to paint and figure out, well, how am I going to have money for buying all the paints? Because especially in, you know, big pieces, it costs a lot of money. We're really into charity. We don't have children, and so what I want to do is paint for the love of donating. Neelam, a friend of mine in Nepal, she's working on a foundation right now to give children backpacks or you know, school equipment because they're too embarrassed. The little artist there or the mathematician, that kind of love coming from the energy of the world of art. The way I view the world is everything is a painting to me. So like just talking to you, I see all the colors around, I'm like, oh, this would be good. You know, so it's been like that since I was a child. I remember always staring at the clouds, just figuring out exactly the way I was gonna paint them. You know, when I'm sleeping, like I'm still in a painting mode. And then there's other times though that like some of the pieces, they can take, you know, months, or maybe I'll revisit it in a year, but other times, 24 hours, 25 hours straight, didn't sleep, just was in the zone. You have to love yourself. You have to. Because if you don't love yourself, you're never gonna love your art. And if you don't love your art, the energy is gonna go into that. When I was a 7-year-old, doing my oil paintings, I just wanted to be perfect. I was so afraid, and I remember a teacher said, you can never make a mistake. You can never make a mistake. And now as I've evolved, and William again has helped me be brave and bold. He gave me great advice. He said to my husband, let her just be free. Let her be like this, you know. So the more that I stay in that creative zone, even meditation helps too with it. There's so many things. Or going for a walk, you know, just looking outside at the art of the world, and then you come back and you're recharged. I'd say just be, and just be vulnerable. Just be you and just be vulnerable. And it'll all come back to you.